Good morning. Welcome to Strata RX, and thank you so much for being here with us. I'm Julie Steele. This is Colin Hill.
So we launched Starta RX last year to really start a conversation about the intersection of healthcare and big data. This year, we're really excited to bring the conference to Boston.
We'd like to start by thanking our strategic sponsors, Dell and SAP. We'd also like to thank our contributing sponsors, IBM and Pivotal, and our data visualization sponsor, SAS. We thank them all for their support for helping us put on the conference this year. Also, welcome to those of you joining us on the live stream. Some of you may be aware that we're live streaming today's keynotes at strataconf.com/rx2013/live. We're really happy to have you here with us as part of our larger audience, and we hope that you'll help us share that URL with anyone else who might be interested.
This is big data's big moment. From Nate Silver predicting the results of the presidential election, to IBM's Watson beating a set of really smart humans at Jeopardy, to the activities of the NSA that are monitoring much of what's said, including what I'm saying right now. This is definitely big data's big time. But what about healthcare? Big data in healthcare has arrived. From electronic medical records to next-gen sequencing to mobile devices that are now starting to monitor and capture much of our activities with the aim of ultimately making us healthier, lowering healthcare costs, and improving health outcomes. But what's driving this? What's driving the growth in healthcare big data? And where's it going to? Certainly one of the many things that's driving the growth in healthcare big data has to do with the fact that we can no longer afford it. This is a graph showing healthcare spending as a function, as a percentage of GDP. We are now at $2.7 trillion a year in healthcare expenditures, almost 20%, and rising quickly. This cannot go on. Healthcare reform, or Obamacare, as it's called, certainly attempts to address some of these issues, and it does a lot to start aligning financial incentives to help to improve outcomes, lower costs, improve quality. But it does have a number of blind spots. Here's Don Berwick. Don is the architect of healthcare reform, and he happens to also be running for governor of Massachusetts. Next to him, that's not President Obama, by the way, that's actually me. And I recently interviewed Don for Strata RX, and one of the things he really focused on was this concept of turning the lights on, of what happens when we get to a world where we actually start to know what works in healthcare and who it works for. Do we have a chance to eliminate huge quantities of waste and really improve outcomes? And the answer is yes. Right? So the concept of turning the lights on is about what happens when we actually remove the darkness and find out what treatments are working and for which people. This is big data. That's how we figure out ultimately what's working in healthcare and for whom. And that's what it's about. That's the point. And that's what this conference is ultimately about. That's why we created it. There's no better place for us to be starting this conversation at the intersection of healthcare and data than Boston. Here's a map showing a number of the leading universities, companies, venture capital firms that are driving this new trend in healthcare and technology. And so I think it's fair to say, given the great number of entities all within walking distance of each other, that Boston is the center of healthcare big data worldwide. I'm going to declare that today. And today's conversation, I really couldn't be more pleased with the kind of lineup we have. We have people who have come here all the way from Kenya to England, from the West Coast, even from the People's Republic of Cambridge. We have the person who coined the term big data, Roger Magoulas of O'Reilly Media, in the crowd and one of the speakers. We have the first person who really started the business applications of big data in Tom Davenport. We also have the world's first data scientist in Jeff Hammerbacher, early employee from Facebook, co-founder of Cloudera. We have a number of folks who have been the founders of the major health IT and healthcare data companies such as Verisk, Athena Health, Humedica, and we also have some of the leading practitioners from the pharma and the health insurance world who have really pioneered big data applications. We even have a candidate for governor of Massachusetts here speaking in Charlie Baker. This is a great lineup. Welcome to Strata RX.
We're about to dive into that lineup. I just want to take one moment again to thank our sponsors, particularly the sponsor of our morning break, Dell. The morning break will be happening in the exhibit hall, and so will the afternoon break, which is sponsored by SAP. So thanks again to them. And now, without further ado, our first speaker of the morning is Brian Sivak. He's the Chief Technology Officer and Entrepreneur in Residence at the Department of Health and Human Services. He's also served as Chief Innovation Officer to Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, and before that, the Chief Technology Officer for the District of Columbia. So please help me welcome Brian Sivak.